So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Today we'll be back here at BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Friday, November 27th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Friday, November 27th. Hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving yesterday. I know I did. Hopefully you did as well. We got a lot of football to cover yesterday. A lot of good games on yesterday. There was a ton of good games. The two games that were on yesterday, so I shouldn't really say ton, but the two games that were on yesterday were really good. Two very good games. Two very good performances for both teams. Both teams who won, both teams really played well. Washington played very well, and the Texans played very well yesterday. So it was a big win for them, for both teams, especially for Washington. And I'll tell you why in just a little bit, how big that win is for them, because now they are full on going straight on. They're the leader of the division for right now, and that is huge for them. So they right now are currently the leader of the division. So it is really crazy how this whole season has gone. Especially for the NFC East, how all of a sudden you have the Washington now being the favorite. It's almost like every week it's changing. One week it's the Eagles, it's been the Cowboys, the Giants haven't been in yet. The Washington now, every single week, it is changing. Week after week. There's a new division leader in the NFC East, and it is really crazy how weak that division really is, because that division is insanely weak, and it really does. It is insanely weak, and they've got to whoever wins the division, they're gonna host the playoff game, and that's really what's crazy. Whoever wins that division, they're gonna host the playoff game, and they're going to obviously try to win that playoff game. So it is pretty crazy, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. These are the topics for today. Obviously, we got the NFL game picks, the Jets and the Giants. We'll go through like I always say. Like I said, yesterday was a day off. Today was obviously Thanksgiving. Hopefully everybody had a very good Thanksgiving with whoever you hung out with, family, friends, whatever you did. Hopefully you had a good day. Today will be my final podcast of the week, obviously until Monday. So I just kind of want to clear that up. Scheduling. So it was Monday. Yesterday was the day off because of Thanksgiving. Today's, another podcast, and then over the weekend I obviously take breaks. And I'll be back on Monday. So these are the topics today. We got the NFL game picks, the Jets and the Giants. We'll also talk about yesterday's games. The Texans, Lions, and the Redskins, Cowboys. We'll talk about those games as well. Obviously we're gonna kind of be quick with it because there are a lot of other games on, but just kind of give you a run through. Then we got some fantasy football overview. We'll give you what happened yesterday for my fantasy football teams. My one league was very good. Antonio Gibson for the Redskins got me a ton of points. Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson got me a ton of points. Elliott did horrible. So I'm going to be really thinking about what to do with him in the upcoming weeks. And then college football, college basketball, game picks, and Kentucky. Kentucky got their win on Wednesday. Was a nice win. For all this stuff that's been going around in the offseason, Kentucky really did look like a very good team out there. I was very pleasantly surprised the way they played. I was expecting them to maybe be a little choppy early on. They looked like they were a complete team. They looked very good, and I'm excited to what the future holds for this team. We'll preview their game on Sunday. Obviously, I don't do a podcast on Sunday, so we'll preview their game then today. And then there's a lot of good college football games on today, a lot of good college basketball games on today. So it's a packed Friday for sports. So with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So yesterday we had two very good football games on. The Washington versus the Cowboys and the Texans Lions. They ultimately came out to be blowouts, but ultimately that Washington Cowboys game was a close game throughout. I mean, going into that third quarter, it was a 20-16 game. Going into that fourth quarter, it was a 20-16 game. They were down by 4 points going into that fourth quarter. And obviously, I'll talk about the Washington game and the Texans game first. So let's get into it. So obviously, Washington won 41-16. They moved to 4-7 on the season, and the Cowboys fall to 3-8. You're sitting here as a Cowboys fan, sitting here as a sports fan in general, sitting here as an NFL fan, me sitting here today. The Cowboys look to be the team right now in the NFC East that is completely out of it. And they really do. Because they've been really struggling. They've been struggling big time. And for them, and they have another tough week coming up next week. They have a real tough week next week, obviously, against the Ravens. And their schedule isn't very easy either. I guess you can kind of consider it easy. But the way this team played, you have no clue at this point. They have the Ravens coming up. That's going to be a tough game. We'll get into the game in a second. I kind of want to try to narrow down into the Cowboys here and just go to show you how their season really is in jeopardy. They have the Ravens. You're going to lose. So you're going to be 3-9. So you're automatically going to probably finish under 500. Then you have the Bengals. That's very winnable. Okay, we'll give them a win there, 4-9. You have the 49ers, who, in my opinion, I think when they're not healthy and Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle, guys like that are out, they are gaining Raheem Mostert back. But when I find this team, when you see this team not healthy, I believe anyone in the league can beat them, or anyone in the league can bring up a good fight. Outside of the Jets and the Jaguars, because the Jets did play the Niners when they were injured and the Jets got crushed. So outside of the Jets and the Jaguars, any team in the NFL, they are very vulnerable. So I don't want to kind of sit here and say that's an automatic loss for them, because I really believe any team in the NFL could beat the 49ers. when Nick Mullins is playing. I mean, you're talking about an awful quarterback. When Nick Mullins is playing, I believe that 49ers team can be almost beatable by any team in the league. So you might give the win there to the Cowboys. But we're going to sit here and tell you that we're going to give them, let's just say, we'll work it two ways. We're going to give them the loss. They finish 4-10 now. Then the Eagles, that's going to be an interesting game. They almost beat the Eagles. They did lose 23-9, but it was a close game throughout with Ben DiNucci. Now with Andy Dalton, do you possibly beat the Eagles? We're going to go ahead and say no. And then the Giants at the end of the season. This one's an interesting one. I always find the Giants always struggle against the Cowboys, no matter if their third or fourth strings are starting. I always find the Giants always struggle against the Cowboys. The Giants I feel like, never find a way to beat the Cowboys, really, since Dak Prescott came to the league. I've always found the Giants have always struggled against the Cowboys. If I'm not mistaken, last year they got swept. The Monday night game they lost, and then the second game of the season they lost, or first game. So last year they got swept. This year they're already 0-1. The year before that, I'm pretty sure they got swept. So that game is kind of up in the air too, because the Giants' history against the Cowboys these past 3-4 years have been awful. So that one's awesome. So let's leave it at Cowboys have a chance of going 5-11. You lose to the Ravens, that's 3-9. Then the Bengals, you win, all right, 4-9. The Niners, that's winnable. Let's say 5-9. Then the Eagles and the Giants will end them with losses. That's 5-11. Let's just say we give them the loss to the Niners, and we have to probably give them a win to the Eagles. They have 4 winnable games remaining. The Bengals, 49ers, Eagles, and Giants. They have one really, really, really winnable game where you're probably favored in that game, and that's the Bengals. So if the Cowboys want any chance of trying to come back and make the playoffs, because they are 3-8, but anything's possible in the NFC East. If they want any slim chance of coming back and trying to make their playoffs, I mean, realistically, they have to win against the Ravens on Thursday night, and they're 4-8, and they're right back in the race. So, realistically, if you want to say that, they're going to have to beat the Bengals. They would have to at least finish the season winning 3 of their next 5, which is possible. Bengals is very winnable. Without Joe Burrow and now Brandon Allen starting, that's almost, you could count that team as completely out. Forget about them. They might finish the season 2-15-1 or 2-13-1. Niners, like I said, when the Niners aren't healthy, I believe they're one of the worst teams in the league. Nick Mullins, all their backups, I believe they could be considered one of the worst teams in the league when they're not healthy. So if you catch them again when they're not healthy, that's another winnable one. But just to put it into words, that was a big loss yesterday for the Cowboys. Cowboys win that game. They move to 4-7. They have a tough game against the Ravens, but then they could bounce back and beat the Bengals. I mean, I really think anyone can beat the Bengals in the league right now. I really do. Outside of maybe the Jets and the Jaguars, because they're probably the worst. And the Jets haven't shown anyone that they can beat anyone yet, so it's not fair to all of a sudden say they can beat the Bengals when the Jets haven't beat anyone yet. It's not fair to say that. It's almost like saying this 0-15 team is going to beat this team today in the 16th game of the season. No, you really can't say that because they haven't won a game. They haven't proven that they could beat anyone, so what's the difference? So I think anyone really in the NFL can beat the Bengals, and even the Jets I think could possibly bring up a fight. That's how bad the Bengals are going to get without Joe Burrow. So let's get into the actual game. And when I was sitting there watching that game yesterday, okay, I think the game-changing play, there was two in that game. I think there was really one of them that really was like, you know what the heck are you doing? That's it. The one really game-changing play, I guess you could kind of say it was three, but I'm going to kind of narrow it down to really one, but I'll tell you the three. So the one game-changing play was the Montez Sweat touchdown, the pick six. That really, I think, put the icing on the cake. That put the cherry on top. However way you want to finish off the game, that really did it right there. That Montez Sweat interception pick six, that was it. You knew the game. You knew they weren't coming back. You knew the game was out of reach. You could forget about that game. So that, I think, right there in itself was probably, that could have been a game changer right there. He doesn't pick that ball off, you have a slim chance, but I think that really just put the cherry on top. Then Terry McLaurin, the Alex Smith, who I thought played very well yesterday, the Alex Smith interception by Jalen Smith. Now, Jalen Smith was running. It's not surprised he got tackled. But Terry McLaurin comes up, trips him up. That is one of the bigger game-changing plays. Now, guess what happens? The Cowboys, they had the ball, the Redskins 3-yard line or whatever. They did not score on that drive. They didn't. They did not score there. If Jalen Smith scores that touchdown, there's a chance that you're right back in that game. So, it really is crazy. And they did not score. So, it's pretty crazy. They did not score that drive. And that was an incredible defensive stand by that Washington defense. The real, just what are you doing moment of the game. I mean, what in the world are you doing if you're the Dallas Cowboys? Is when they faked the punt on 4th down and 10. I mean, what in the world are you doing? Faking the punt on 4th down and 10. And then later on in your post-game interview, say that was a solid play call. That's what the words of Mike McCarthy said. What in the world are you doing calling a fake punt on your own, 15-yard line? And you're calling a fake punt when you're down by a decent amount, and you're calling a fake when you're down. I think game actually was still pretty close then, and you call a fake punt. It can't get much more worse than that. On a 4th down and 10. You actually probably would have had a better chance of doing a fake. You would have had a better chance of just straight up going for it. Meaning, get to the line, call a play. Instead of do this fake punt, flip it again, try to run around, have Zerline go out for a catch. No, what are you doing? That play, right when I saw that play developing, I knew it wasn't going to be bust. Because there was 4 Washington players just waiting for, I don't know who got the ball. Some guy on the kicking team, obviously. Right away, I saw those 4 guys there, and I was like, no way. Zerline's not blocking all 4 of those guys. I was like, yeah, this isn't working. So that was, I think, the biggest game changer. And that was, I think, one of the dumbest plays I've seen in a long time. Why would you fake the punt on 4th down and 10? That just doesn't make sense. 4th down and 10, you have a chance of maybe punting the ball, getting a stop. Because, we can agree, Cowboys defense, they did score 41 points. Not all of it was the Cowboys. But Cowboys defense, they didn't play awful yesterday. They did allow 3 touchdowns, but they did have an interception. But overall, at least, come on, really. And then the 4th down call early in the game where you go for it, that was another bad call right there too. So, a lot of bad decision-making, I think, really costed this Cowboys the game. And as for Washington, and I was telling people last night this. I was texting them. I think Washington is by far the new favorites to win a division. I really do. And I'm actually kind of rooting for Washington to win the division in the NFC East. Because I think it would be so cool. Everything they went through in the offseason. The name change, all the, backlash, all that stuff, from possibly getting rid of their owner to getting rid of their GM to inside allegations popping out and all that, all during a season where it was just uncertain to begin with. And for this team to be sitting in the end, I don't care that not just take away the fact that they're winning in a division. And everyone at the beginning of the year was making fun of this Washington. I was one of them. I mean, a lot of people had Washington going 0-16. It's the truth. It's the truth. Because their roster wasn't very good. With all the stuff they went through in the offseason, just wasn't working out. And then, Washington obviously started off the year 1-0. Then they lost 5 straight. Then won again, 2-5. Then lost 2-6, 2-7. Then they've won their past 2 straight. I don't really care that they're just in the NFC. With all this team has been through, from Alex Smith all the way down, it's just been crazy. That the fact that they are sitting here leading in a division is just phenomenal. And I think that is front office, coaches, players all coming together and really realizing this is a team effort here. This isn't one player in general. This is a team effort. This team is working together very well as a team, and that is why they are playing so well, and they right now are winning a division. So I think they could possibly win a division. And if you look at their schedule, they have a couple winnable games coming up as well. They have arguably 3 winnable games. Steelers, that's going to be tough. Then the Niners, that's a very winnable game. Then you have the Seahawks, that's going to be tough. Then you have the Panthers and Eagles, who are 2 other winnable games. So you're sitting here, if they win those winnable games, they're finishing off the year 7-9. And you look at all the other NFC teams, Giants probably only realistically have 2 winnable games left on their schedule. And those 2 winnable games are the Bengals and the Cowboys. Browns, I don't think that's winnable. But it really is crazy. It really is. And obviously it really is phenomenal to see how this Washington team is playing right now. Now I move on to the stats. Alex Smith went 19-26, 149 yards, 7.8 was his average, a touchdown, an interception, 3 sacks, 83.7 was his rating. Gibson had 20 carries for 115 yards, 5.8 was his average, 3 touchdowns. McLaurin had 9 targets, 7 catches for 92 yards. Gibson had 5 catches for 21 yards himself. Another just a phenomenal game. And I thought overall as a team, good defense, good offense, phenomenal game. Both quarterbacks did have to endure 3 sacks. Andy Dalton, 25-35, 215 yards, 8.6 was average, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 3 sacks, and a rating of 84.8. Elliott, 10 carries, 32 yards, no touchdowns, and a fumble. Amari Cooper had 8 targets, 6 catches for 112 yards, and a touchdown. Gallup had 6 catches himself, 41 yards, no touchdowns. He had a couple catches there. Really just Cowboys, man. It's back to the drawing board for them. It really does seem like that. It really seems like it just seems like it's back to the drawing board for them because this is a team that just can't do anything on the offensive side of the ball. And I've said this for a long time now. This is really showing Jerry Jones, and I think showing this organization, who I don't like at all, I don't like Jerry Jones, it's just showing this Cowboys organization really how much they should really pay Dak. Look what has happened to this team ever since Dak left. You just look at it. Just look at it. Dak got injured in that Giants game. They were 2-2 with Dak, which wasn't horrendous, but you also got to realize they fought hard against the Browns, which was their defense. Dak threw for 500 yards that game. That wasn't all on Dak. They finished 2-2. Then when Dak left, they lost again, won, lost. So, since Dak left, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games since Dak left. It just goes to show the Cowboys organization how pivotal he is and how good of a quarterback he is. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, when a quarterback goes down, a lot of teams start to struggle. Not a lot of teams start to struggle this badly. I mean, look what happened with Carson Wentz. When he went down, Foles came in, they still won the Super Bowl. It's just going to show you how good Dak Prescott is. He is such a good quarterback. Now I move on to the Texans and the Lions. I'll be quick with this one. This was a pretty simple one. Deshaun Watson, huge day. I said in my keys of the game on Wednesday. In my keys of the game, Deshaun Watson and this Texans offense have to throw the ball deep. And you know what I also said? If DeAndre Swift and guys like that play, then you have to stop those guys. Well, guess what? They didn't play. Kenny Golladay, DeAndre Swift didn't play, but guess what? They stopped their other playmaker in Marvin Jones Jr. He had 12 targets for 6 catches and 48 yards. Only 48 yards yesterday. Even Hawkinson, he had 89 yards, which is pretty good, but not to the point where it was really dominating performance. Sanu caught a touchdown and stuff like that, but the Texans defense looked very good. This game was so ugly in the beginning of this game. There was 4 turnovers. 3 of those 4 turnovers were 3 fumbles. And I was sitting there watching that game, and it was like 13 minutes left in the second quarter. I was like, oh my God, there's already 4 turnovers. That had to be one of the sloppiest games I've seen. Just crazy how sloppy that game really was. And it started out very sloppy. And the way it started out, I was expecting that game to finish off like really low scoring, like something really low scoring. And then the way that game finished, it was really pretty crazy. But obviously the Texans win 41-25. Watson had 17 to 25, 318 yards, 18.7 was his average, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 2 sacks, and a rating of 150.4. Really, that's it. Will Fuller had a big day too, 6 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. Duke Johnson caught a touchdown, Procise caught a touchdown. As for the Lions, Matthew Stafford went 28 to 42, 295 yards, 10.5 was his average, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 4 sacks, and a rating of 84.9. Peterson had 2 touchdowns himself, 55 yards. Hawkins had 89 yards on 5 catches. Just great game for the Texans. Really was a great game for the Texans. Watt obviously got the interception at pick 6. But it really is crazy. It really is crazy. And you got to look at this. You got to look at this right now. You have to. I'm going to tell you this. And I am not going to try to sit here and tell you that they're going to make the playoffs, but there's a very good shot that this Texans team makes a late round push. They're 4-7 right now, okay? They play the Colts, which is winnable. I've said this about the Colts. I don't think the Colts are that good. I think I understand they're 7-3, and a 7-3 is 7-3, but I still don't think the Colts are what a lot of people think they are, and that is a division-winning team and a possible make-a-run in the playoff team. I don't like their offense at all. Phillip Rivers has done. I don't know. I don't trust Phillip Rivers if I was a Colts fan. They have the Colts. That's a winnable game. I would consider the Texans-Colts a winnable game for the Texans. I don't think that's outrageous. You can make the argument that the remaining games on their schedule are all winnable. Colts, Bears, Colts, Bengals, Titans. Titans will be tough. Titans are going to be tough. But they definitely, if you really had to put it really in, they have 2 very winnable games. And that is the Bengals and the Bears. But if you're putting it into other words, you got the Colts, that's winnable. And I think the other Colts are winnable. Titans will be tough. I think the Titans are a lot better than the Colts. Titans will be tough. But you also, final week of the season, unless if you're battling for a playoff spot and the Titans might purposely try to eliminate you from that, you might catch the Titans sitting some of their starters if in fact they're 12-4 and they've already clinched a spot in the playoffs and they can't move up or down there, sit in that spot, no reason to play them, right? You never know. So realistically, the Titans could still finish the year 7-9, 8-8. I really do. And for a team to start off the season 1-7, fire their head coach, the way that Romeo Cornell has came into this situation has been unbelievable. 72-year-old coach, an older coach, just the oldest coach in the NFL. He is doing it. He is just coaching insane. And that's another one too. I mean, Romeo Cornell has been around in this league I think every player in the NFL at least knows who Romeo Cornell is. He's a big name in the NFL and has had an excellent career. And a lot of people think that he might come back with the Texans next season and coach them. And this is really showing to you that this Texans team, it was Bill O'Brien. It was Bill O'Brien. It was not Watson. It was not this offense. It was not this defense. It was Bill O'Brien. Ever since he's left, I think they're 4-3. They were 0-7 when he, or 0-5 or whatever. When did they fire him? I think they fired him after their 0-4 start, right? Something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, it really is crazy. And this is a team, too, ever since they fired him, they've been in at pretty much every single game. They beat the Jaguars. They lost into overtime against the Titans. They lost against the Packers. They got beat pretty badly. But then you beat the Jaguars. You lost by 3 against the Browns. You beat the Patriots, and you beat the Lions. So their games have been pretty close. So it is crazy. And you also got to look at it, too, this way. They started off the season with 3 of the best teams, hindsight 2020, 3 very good teams. Chiefs, Ravens, Steelers. They all lost those games. Then they played the Vikings, who, at the beginning of the year, a lot of people thought the Vikings were going to be good, but, they struggled as well. But the Vikings, another team, too, who aren't out of it completely. Because you look at the Vikings schedule, they've got a very easy schedule coming up. Although I know that game against the Cowboys really does hurt. They're 4-6. They win that game, they're 5-5 right now. That game does hurt. I know that. But yeah, so anyway, so those were the 2 games. I went 1-1 on my game picks yesterday, which means going into this Sunday, I'm 110-59. So I reached 110 mark. So it doesn't look like this week I'm going to get to. I could very well go 11-3. But I don't know if that's going to happen. But obviously, I guess you just gotta. Hopefully that happens, but yeah, I went 1-1. I want to see really what I do on Sunday. So with all that being said, these are my game picks for the week. Let's get into this. So our first game up, we got the Browns and the Jaguars. Browns come into this game 6.5-point favorites. The over/under for this game is 49.5. I said it just a couple minutes ago on the podcast when I was talking about the Washington and the Cowboys. To be honest, I'm gonna sit here and tell you the truth. This Jaguars team is horrendous. This Jaguars team can't do anything. This is the second worst team in the NFL, only in front of the New York Jets. And I don't think there's any shot that they win this game. And if they win this game, then, geez. That's going to be a long day for Browns fans if they win this game. But I think the Browns win this game easily. I don't even think there's any question. I don't even have to spend that much time on this game. That's how easy this game is. I don't think there's any question. I think they win, and I think they cover very easily. I think they win 31-7. They're starting Mike Glennon, people. They're starting Mike Glennon. I give him the win. I give him the win big. I do take the under on the over-under of 49.5, but they win big. Jaguars are starting Mike Glennon. Jaguars in full desperation mode. It's just completely ugly for them. And I give the Browns the win, and I think they win big. Now I move on to the Cardinals and the Patriots. Cardinals come into this game 6-4. Patriots come into this game 4-6. Cardinals are 2-point favorites. Over/under is 49.5. This is another over/under that I disagree with. I don't know how in the world you could sit here and tell me that the New England Patriots are only 2-point underdogs to the Arizona Cardinals. This is a very good Arizona Cardinal team. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds, guys like that. I understand they're missing Larry Fitzgerald. He's on the COVID reserve list. He will miss the game. I understand that. But you're still sitting here with Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins. You're sitting here, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake, and your defense. You got guys like Simmons. You got guys like Pat Pete. You got a lot of good guys on that team. I think the Cardinals win this game pretty easily. The Patriots have really struggled, and I think the Patriots are just going to crumble downhill from here. Because you really look at it, they've struggled all year long, and they continue to struggle, and I don't really think there's any possible way that they win this game. If you look at the schedule here, you look at the Patriots' upcoming schedule, you got the Chargers, Rams, Dolphins, Bills, Jets. They've got a tough schedule. The Chargers I think could beat them. Rams might beat them. Dolphins could beat them. And then you also got the Bills can beat them. You might only have one more game against the Jets that you're going to be able to win. But it is going to be tough for the New England Patriots to try and figure out to string a couple wins together here. But I think the Cardinals win. I think their offense is too overpowering. I understand you could sit here and tell me, the Patriots have a good defense and stuff. They haven't shown it at all this year. I give the Cardinals the win. I think they win big, 31-17 or 31-21. I think they win, and I will take the over on the over/under of 49.5. Now we move on. This is one of the more interesting games of the weekend, I think. You got the Bills coming in at 7-3, and the Chargers coming in at 3-7. Who I think the Chargers are a lot better than 3-7. They've blown a ton of games. Bills are 5.5-point favorites. The over-under is 52.5 for this game. I'm going to sit here and tell you this. I think the Bills, I think the Chargers bring up a fight, is what I'm going to try to say. I think the Bills win. I'm going to give you my pick in a couple seconds here. I think the Bills win. But I do think the Chargers bring up a good fight. And I don't think that's outrageous to say, because I think the Chargers are a good team. We've seen what Justin Herbert can do. We've seen what this defense can do at times. We've seen what Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry can do. And this is a Bills defense secondary who has been underwhelming this year, let's just say. Has underperforming. Right? I think we can all agree that their defense has underachieved this year. I think with Trey White, Poyer, Hyde, guys like that, they've underachieved a little bit this year. And with Keenan Allen, with Hunter Henry, with Mike Williams, with Justin Herbert, with guys like that, possibly with Austin Eckler coming back, I think this game's going to be close. I definitely think this game's going to be close. I think it's going to be a shootout. These are two very good offenses. Stephon Diggs, Beasley, John Brown, I'm pretty sure is out, I think. But you still got Beasley, John Brown. You still got two pretty solid running backs in Moss and Singletary. You obviously got Josh Allen, who is a lot of people think, and I think too, is in there in its MVP contest. Now, I mean, not necessarily he's the front runner, but he's in the conversation. I think Mahomes has ran away with it at this point. I think Mahomes is going to win the MVP. But there's definitely a good shot of, Josh Allen being at least in the top 7 for MVP voting right now. Dalvin Cook, Wilson, Mahomes, whatever other guys there are out there. I mean, you could even Kyler Murray, guys like that, right? There's a ton of guys out there for the MVP voting right now. So I definitely think that he's definitely up there for the MVP voting. But yeah, so I'm going to give the Bills the win here, and I think they're going to win the team because I think they're overall the better team. I think they have the slight edge on offense, and I think they have the slight edge on defense, but it's going to be close. If you had to give it out of a 10, it would be like a 5 or something to a Bills, and it would be like a 4.5. It's almost split. It is literally almost split. It's like a 51-49. If you had to put a percentage out of 100, it's like the Bills 51, and it's almost so close. I think this game's gonna be close. I don't think the Bills cover. I think this game's gonna be insanely close. I don't think the Bills cover. I think they win 31-28. I don't think they cover. I don't. 31-28. That would put me, I'm pretty sure, at the over, because 20 is 51. That's 52.5. Yeah, so I think the over on the over-under. Wait. Hold on. 59, yeah. So I take the over on the over-under of 52.5. And like I said, I don't think the Bills cover. I'm not trying to say that, and I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't. I think the Chargers team is a very sneaky team. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think the Bills do grind it out and win. I think it could come down to a last-second field goal, a last-second touchdown. Just know, this is going to be a game that's going to be done by the first half. This is going to be a game that's going to be done when 3 zeros are on the clock. This is going to be a game that's going to be decided by the second quarter, like a couple games this season, a lot of New York Jets games. Right. Obviously, this is going to be a game. This is going to be a game that's going to come down to when there are double zeros on the clock. That is what this game's going to come down to. I wouldn't even be surprised if this game's goes into overtime. I think this game's going to be a true close game, but I do think the Bills win. Giants-Bengals, we'll preview that in a little bit. We got the Panthers and the Vikings. Vikings come into this game 4-6, 3.5-point favorites. Panthers come into this game 4-7. The over-under is set at 51. At the moment, the Vikings are coming off to a very frustrating loss against the Dallas Cowboys. A game that they had in their hands, let it go. A game that they should have won and kind of needed to win. They let it go. Last-second touchdown by the Cowboys. A lot of times for teams that have those frustrating losses, they like to come back quickly on a Thursday or any time, and they like to come back quickly and play again. That's almost the problem with the Bills. When they had that heartbreaking loss, they had to wait a whole bye week to come out and play again. So that's almost what happened with the Vikings. They had a very bad loss, a tough loss to swallow. They've had to wait a whole week to come back. They are back, and I think they're going to win here. And the reason I think they're going to win is I think they're still frustrated over last week's loss. They realize how big this game is, not only for just the overall, just some of these players' jobs, but overall for their playoff hopes. They lose this game, they're 4-7. Their playoff hopes just get thin. They arguably still have a lot of winnable games coming up. They've got the Panthers this week, that's winnable. Then you got the Jaguars, that's winnable. To be honest, I think a lot of teams. I don't think the Buccaneers are all that good. So you could make the argument. Not that I'm saying they're going to win, but I think that could be a close game. Then you have the Bears is very winnable. Saints is going to be tough. You probably will lose that one. And then you got the Lions, who's also winnable. So you're making an argument here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of their next 5 games that are insanely winnable. And that would sit you at 8-8 on the season, possibly beating the Buccaneers. There's a chance there. So, you might finish up the year 9-7 if you win these games that you got to win. And I think the key for the Vikings here is you cannot get caught looking ahead. You have an easy opponent this week. You cannot get caught looking ahead next week and be like, oh, we play the Jaguars next week, everything's going to be okay. You cannot do that. You have to find a way to win this week, win next week, and take it week by week. Because I think that might have been what they were doing last week. They had the game in their hands. They might have been, oh, we won this game, and then all of a sudden Cowboys come driving down the field and score the game-winning touchdown. As for the Panthers, I don't know. Is P.J. Walker starting again? He might be. This is just a team who was in the playoff race just like 4 weeks ago. Ever since that Falcons loss, I feel everything has crumbled for them. I give the Vikings the win. I think they cover. I'll give them the win. I'll give them 28-17 here. I think it's going to be relatively close. I think it's going to be any 35-14 blowout, but I think it's 28-17. Panthers might score some late time garbage scoring, but I think the Vikings win this game pretty easily. 28-17. And with that being said, 28-17 would put me at 45, so I take the under on the over-under 51. Now I move on to the Raiders and the Falcons. Raiders come into this game 6-4. Falcons come into this game 3-7. Raiders are 3-point favorites. The over-under is set at 54. I'm going to first tell you I take the over on this game. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think it's going to be a pretty big shootout type of a game. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring. There's going to be not much defense. I think, with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, if they're healthy, Todd Gurley, Matt Ryan, guys like that on the Falcons offense. And then same thing with the Raiders on offense. Raiders aren't the greatest team on offense, but when you're going up against a Falcons defense like this is, a lot of teams can look good against a Falcons defense. A lot of teams can look good against that Cowboys defense. So it really is showing you how good this team can be at times, this Raiders team. It's a Raiders team who fought last week against the Chiefs. They did lose, but they brung up a good fight. Here's the thing with the Raiders. They're coming off of a tough loss. You got to finish that out, right? You're done. You're done for the year against the Chiefs, right? You're done. Right? The Chiefs more than likely are going to go on and probably win that division. So your focus is now geared off of the Chiefs, right? A lot of times division, you ask coaches, you ask players, former players ask coaches and stuff. If you ask them and you say, oh, what about, like, what are you thinking during these games and stuff? A lot of times in the season, you're always, whether it's a rivalry or whatever, or a division opponent, sometimes you just want to get those games over with because sometimes it's all you're focused on all season is, oh, I want to beat this team. Or if there was something that happened last year between the teams, whether that was a fight, whether it was a tough loss, then you want to come back that next year and just beat them, that could be something. But definitely going to be interesting to see. I give the Raiders the win here. I think they win pretty easy. The Falcons' defense is just so bad. Their defense is just so bad. I give the Raiders the win. 35-28. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. With that being said, 35-28 would put me at the over, like I said. I'd take the over on the over-under of 54. Now I move on to the Titans and the Colts. I think this is one of the best games of the weekend. Colts come into this game 7-3. Titans come into this game 7-3. Big game for the division. Colts are 3-point favorites. The over-under is set at 51 for this game. Like I said, I still am not fully on this whole Colts making the play. I mean, you'll probably make the playoffs, but this whole Colts making a playoff run, winning this division, I'm still not. I mean, if they win on Sunday, I think you kind of have to sit here and say they will, because if you look at their upcoming schedule, they do have the Texans twice, which, might be interesting. Their schedule actually is tough coming up. You got the Texans, the Raiders, the Texans, the Steelers, and the Jaguars. Realistically, you could say those Texans games are winnable. I mean, this isn't the easiest schedule down the stretch for the Colts. So, this is a big win for them. And as for the Titans, I think if the Titans win, the Titans have it pretty easy. I think they can beat the Browns. I think they can beat the Jaguars. I think they can beat the Lions. I think they can bring up a fight against the Packers. And the Texans, like I said, I think that goes both ways. That's a winnable game against the Texans. So arguably, if they win today, you're 8-3, 9-3, 10-3, 11-3, 11-4. They'll probably finish 12-4 if they win today, or if they win tomorrow. I'm sorry, if they win or Sunday, if they win against the Colts, if they beat the Colts, they're probably finishing 12. If they lose to the Colts, they still have the Browns winnable, Jaguars winnable, Lions winnable. Packers is winnable. I don't know if I would give it to them. And then you have the Texans, who's also winnable. So you would still finish 12-4, 11-5 maybe. But I think the Titans definitely have the schedule edge here, so it's not the end of the world if the Titans lose here. But I still do think it's close. I'm going to give the Titans the win. Here's my reasoning. I think personally the Titans just have the better offense and just the better team. I think you give them the slight edge on offense. I do think you give the Colts the edge on defense. Maybe I should have said slight edge on offense because I find it's a lot bigger than just a slight edge. I don't think this Colts offense is that good. I know Michael Pittman got going last week. I understand. If you look at a guy like Phillip Rivers who's been playing pretty good, he's done what they've wanted him to do. I understand that. But all in all, I still don't think this is a team that is really that good. I think their record shows a lot more than what they really are. That's just my personal opinion. So I give the Titans the win here. I think the Titans are a very good football team. I give the Titans the win here. And I think they win. I'll give them the win 31-28 as well. We'll give them the win 31-28. I think this game's going to be close. 31-28, so plus 31 plus 20 would be 51. So I take the over on the over-under of 51. And the Colts, I think the Titans reverse that. I think the Titans win by 3 there. Now I move on to the Steelers and the Ravens. Steelers come into this game 10-0. Ravens come into this game 6-4. The over-under is 44.5. There's no spread here. Let me check if there's any other spread here. Although you probably know my pick. This is another game here. Okay, it has Pittsburgh at 4. So at the moment it says Pittsburgh at 4, but on this it says there's no spread. So I guess it could really go either way. This is also a game that's is a flip. This is a complete toss-up, I think. This is an interesting game. Not a toss-up on what it's going to play. So I just want to tell you this. If this game is not played, whatever my pick happens, it won't count. Even if there's been some rumors that the Ravens might have to forfeit, even if they forfeit and they steal, I don't know. You might have to watch out for that. Because if they forfeit and the Steelers win, I do predict the Steelers to win. I'll tell you why. But I'm gonna just pick my pick. If it does not count, if this game does not happen, then the game does not happen. Right? The Ravens have a lot of COVID issues, and that's actually why I'm picking the Steelers. Without COVID issues, I would still pick the Steelers. With COVID issues, I'm especially picking the Steelers. They have a lot of key guys out. Lamar Jackson's got it. He will probably be out. And then you got Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins. They will probably also be out if they cannot test negative twice, I think, in time. So this is going to be a shorthanded Ravens team, and that's why I give the Steelers a pretty I think I give the Steelers a pretty easy win here. We'll go with 31-14. I don't think they're going to generate any offense without, it's been tough to generate offense with Lamar Jackson this season. It's going to be even tougher without him. And they already beat him early on in the season, 31-14. It's 41-45. I take the over on the over-under of 44.5. So now we move on to the Rams and the 49ers. Rams coming off of a big win against the Buccaneers. Rams come into this game 7-3. 49ers come into this game 4-6. The Rams are 6.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 45.5. I give the Rams the win here. They're coming off of a big win. I was just talking about how vulnerable and how bad the 49ers can be when they're not healthy. And I understand they are getting Monster back and they're getting a couple other key players back within the next couple of weeks. I still think the Rams are a very good team. You look at the Rams here, they're cruising right now. They're really playing well. Jared Goff's played well. The receiving corps played well. Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp have played very well. So I give the Rams the win here. I think they win pretty easily here against the 49ers. I think this is going to be a very easy win for the Los Angeles Rams. I think the spread's a little weak. They should be favored by, I think, at least 10. I mean, it's 6.5 is pretty close for you're playing up against the most injured team in the league, and at times they look very bad, and one of the worst teams in the league at times. So I give the Rams the win here. I think they win pretty easily. Defense has struggled. I'll give them the win 31 to 10. And I'll take the under on the over-under 45.5. Their defense has played very good, and against this pretty much backups of offense. And I know Raheem Mostert's coming back, but this Rams defense is very good at stopping the run game. So you just got to watch out there. Now we move on to the other game. I do give the Rams the win there. We move on to the other game. We got the Saints and the Broncos. Broncos also have COVID issues as well, but this game does look more likely to be on. I think it's only one player and 2 staff members, so it looks like this game will be on. But the Saints come into this game 6-point favorites. Broncos come into this Saints are 8-2 and they're 6-point favorites. Broncos are 4-6 and the over/under is set at 43.5. I liked what I saw last week out of Taysom Hill against the 49ers. I'm gonna say it again. I think against this Broncos team, I know they got a big win against Dolphins last week, which kind of kept their season alive. I still believe the Saints win this game. They played against the 49ers last week, won easily, took care of business. I think they win again, win pretty easily, take care of business. 35-21, or 35-24. I'll give them the win there. I think they cover, and I take the over on the over-under of 43.5. Now I move on to the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. The Chiefs are 9-1. Buccaneers are 7-4. Chiefs come into this game 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is 55.5. Okay, I think this spread is completely outrageous. 3.5 for the Chiefs to be favorites. The Chiefs should at least be favorites by 8. What I have seen out of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, they are not meshing correctly. This is a team that hasn't even had their bye week. This is a Buccaneers team that is not meshing correctly. This is a Buccaneers team that is in deep, deep, deep trouble. Brady's not throwing the ball well. This offense isn't clicking. Defense has been the bright spot. This offense isn't clicking. I do give the Chiefs the win here. I think they win easily. 35-17. They blow them out. Chiefs are going to show the rest of the league that this Buccaneers team, they ain't no Super Bowl team. They are not. Okay? You got a bye week, then the Vikings, Falcons, Lions, Falcons. Winnable games there. But you lose to the Chiefs here. I give the Chiefs to win 35-17. I take the over 35-17. Let's see. $52. So I take the under on the over 55.5, and I think the Chiefs cover. Now I move on to this game. This is the Sunday night game. We got the Packers and the Bears. Packers come into this game 7-3. Bears come into this game 5-5. Packers are 8.5-point favorites. The over/under is 44.5 for this game. Packers coming off of a tough loss against the Colts. They're playing a struggling Bears team. They're playing a Bears team that people don't know if Foles might not play. Looks like he probably will, though. It's a Bears team that can't generate anything on offense. It's a Packers team that's doing the opposite. They can generate things on offense. They're doing very well, as a matter of fact, on offense. I give the Packers the win here, and I think they win pretty big. 35-14. They win big. I give them the win 35-14. And that would put me at the over-under 44.5. And in the Monday game is the Seahawks and the Eagles. We will preview that game then. So now we move on to the Jets and the Dolphins and the Giants and the Bengals. We'll preview the Jets game here. The Jets come into this game 0-10. Dolphins come into this game 6-4. The Dolphins are 7-point favorites. The Jets are the over/under is 44.5. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS. The points per game for the Dolphins are 13th in the league. Jets are 32nd. Points per game allowed. Dolphins are 4th in the league. Jets are 31st. Total yards per game. Dolphins 29th in the league. Jets 32nd. Pass yards per game. Dolphins 26th in the league. Jets 32nd. Rush yards per game. Dolphins 30th in the league. Jets 25th. Yards per game allowed. Dolphins 21st in the league. Jets 28th. It has been really bad for the New York Jets. The Jets this season are 0-10 this season, so really has been awful for them. It's just been awful. It really has been awful for the New York Jets this season, to say the very least. They're 0-10, more than likely going to get the first overall pick. I think the Dolphins win this game, like I will always do. I don't think I'm not going to predict the Jets to win probably any game this season. Even if they win a game, I don't think they'll win any game. Realistically, I think the Dolphins win this game 31-17. I think the Dolphins cover. I think they win pretty easily. I think they win by 2 scores. I don't think it's gonna be a complete blowout. I don't think it's gonna be a 42-10 game. I don't know. He hasn't been playing the best. I was talking to somebody the other day about this. He hasn't been playing the best. He really hasn't been. I mean, I don't think he's playing bad, but I wouldn't say he's been playing whatever third overall pick in the draft potential or whatever he was. So, it's going to be interesting. I think the Jets win. I think the Jets lose 31-17. You just can't trust the secondary. That's really one of the big things, I think. So I think the Jets lose 31-17 there, and I will take 31-17. That would mean I take the 31 plus 17. I take the over-under of 44.5. So the Jets lose there. And now we move on to the Giants and the Bengals. Giants come into this game 3-7. Bengals come into this game 2-7-1. Giants are 6-point favorites. The over-under is 44 for this game. Like I said, let's look at some of the points per game. Giants are 30th in points per game. Bengals are 26th. Points per game allowed. Giants are 12th. Bengals are 22nd. Total yards per game. Giants are 30th. Bengals are 20th. Pass yards per game. Giants are 29th. Bengals are 16th. Rush yards per game. Giants are 18th. Bengals are 23rd. Yards per game allowed. Giants 17th. Bengals 26th. And this game's at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. I give the Giants the win here, and the only reason I'm picking them to win. If Joe Burrow is playing this game, I would take the Bengals to win. Ryan Finley's not playing. Burrow's not playing. They're down to Brandon Allen, their third-string quarterback, who I'm pretty sure was on the practice squad. He is going to be playing, I think, making his 4th start of his career. This is not a guy that's going to lead you to victory. I'm sorry, Bengals fans. I don't think you win. I think the Giants win. I think the Giants win pretty easily, too. 24-7. I take the under on the over-under of 44. I think they win very easily, 24-7. I think they cover there. So I have the Jets losing and the Giants winning. That's my picks there. So I have the Jets losing. These are my picks for the weekend. Obviously, I have the Jets losing, like I always do. But these are the picks. I got the Browns winning, Cardinals winning, Bills winning, Giants winning, Vikings winning, Raiders winning, Titans winning, Steelers winning, Rams winning, Saints winning, Chiefs winning, and the Packers winning. One more time. Browns winning, Cardinals winning, Bills winning, Giants winning, Vikings winning, Raiders winning, Titans winning, Steelers winning, Rams winning, Saints winning, Chiefs winning, and the Packers winning. Those are my picks for the weekend. Hopefully they turn out to be pretty successful. Obviously, I always hope the Jets pick is incorrect unless if I pick them to win, but I don't think the Jets will win another game. I think the Jets fall to 0-11 again. They're just not good. We're just really not that good. We're awful, to say the very least. So now I move on to fantasy football. Coming up next. Alrighty, so now we move on to fantasy football. So I had 3 players going yesterday. 2 of them were very successful. One of them was the complete opposite of successful. I had Deshaun Watson and Antonio Gibson going yesterday. Watson got me 32. Gibson got me 31. I'm currently winning 63-37. I'm projected 141. He's projected a 126. So I'm projected to win. Hopefully that stays put, and I do win. These are my players playing this weekend. I obviously already had Deshaun Watson, James Robinson, Antonio Gibson. I already was playing. Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, A.J. Brown, Giants defense, Daniel Carlson. And my bench is Kenyon Drake, Rams defense, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Godwin, Raheem Mostert, and Gus Edwards. I'm still deciding on who to put in, Rams or Giants. That might be a last-second decision. The reason I'm thinking about putting in the Rams is because they're playing San Francisco. They're playing against banged-up offense. But the Giants are playing against the Browns, who are starting their third-string quarterback, receivers who have been in this season. And the Giants' defense hasn't played that bad this year either. So, I mean, if you're going to sit here and tell me that, I think there's a very good chance that they have a very good game, that's why I'm personally going to take them. A quick questionable here. A.J. Brown was questionable. Brown knee was listed as a non-participant on Thursday's practice estimate. Paul Kuharski of the 104.5 The Zone Nashville Report. So just keep an eye out for him. It is Friday, so you got some time. I would definitely keep out for him. I wouldn't be surprised. It's a big game if they try to push him to play. I wouldn't be surprised there if that's the case. We move on to my other league. So hopefully I win in this league, obviously. We now move on to my other league. Right now I'm winning 1.9 to nothing. Elliot got me 1.9, which was just horrendous. I'm projected to lose now 103 to 96. But hopefully I win, obviously. I have Aaron Rodgers, Ezekiel Elliott already played, Chris Carson, Devontae Adams, Robert Woods, Hunter Henry, Todd Gurley, Browns defense, Daniel Carlson. I like Browns defense again against Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is going to be horrible. Mike Glennon starting, just not favorable there. My bench is Juju Smith-Schuster, DJ Moore, Allen Robinson, Matt Ryan, Rob Gronkowski, Ronald Jones, Austin Eckler, and my IR is David Johnson. Austin Eckler hamstring is slated to practice Wednesday after the Chargers designated him to return from injury reserve. Jeff Miller of the Los Angeles Times report. This doesn't make sense to me. This was on Wednesday. Got no new news here, and you don't know what's going to happen with him. I have 3 questionables in my starting lineup. It's Chris Carson, who is also questionable. Chris Carson's foot was listed as limited on Thursday's estimated injury report. Michael Sean Duggar of the Athletic reports. Devontae Adams is also questionable. Adams' ankle didn't practice Thursday. Olivia Reiner of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reports. And then same thing here with Todd Gurley. Gurley knee was listed as a non-participant on Thursday's estimated practice report. Will McFadden of the Falcons official site reports. So you got 2 non-participants. You got 1 limited. You're gonna have to keep your eye out for that. It's frustrating, as a fantasy person. I did put Robert Woods in against that banged up San Francisco D. I think they're going to run all over him. I really do. I think a favorable matchup for Rams players there. So hopefully I win in both leagues, obviously. Just keep your eye out for those questionables if you have them in your lineup. And if you do, you could use waivers. You could use your lineup, whatever you want to do. I might honestly make some waiver moves. I'm not sure, though. Still kind of figuring that out there. We're going to move into some college football. So we got all the college football games this weekend. We'll put all games on. So we got... Okay, so today we've got 2 very good games. So today we've got a couple good games on. We got Texas-Iowa State. This is a very good game. Got Texas winning. Liberty-UMass, I got Liberty winning. Iowa-Nebraska, I got Iowa winning. North Carolina-Notre Dame. This thing is insane. I give Notre Dame the win. UCF-South Florida, I give UCF the win. Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, give Central Michigan the win. Wyoming, UNLV, give Wyoming the win. Stanford and Cal, I give Stanford the win. Oregon and Oregon State, I give Oregon the win. And these are all the games for tomorrow. We got Colorado, USC, I give Colorado. No, that game was postponed. Colorado's playing another team now. I give Colorado the win there. Or they're playing another team now, obviously. But we just go through the game picks here. We got, let's see, what games have I not done? We got Florida, Kentucky. I give Florida the win. Maryland, Indiana the win. Ohio State, Illinois, Ohio State the win. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State the win. Tulsa and Houston, I give Houston the win. No, that game was postponed, sorry. Then we got Coastal Carolina, Texas State, Coastal Carolina the win. Alabama, Auburn. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do give Alabama the win. Northwestern, Michigan State, I got Northwestern winning. LSU, Texas A&M winning. Georgia, South Carolina, got Georgia winning. Oklahoma, West Virginia, that game was postponed. So I got Clemson winning as well. Miami obviously doesn't play, so there's your college football games there. Now we move on to college basketball. A lot of good games on today. Gonzaga, Auburn, I got Gonzaga winning. Virginia, San Francisco, got Virginia winning. Illinois, Ohio, I got Illinois winning. West Virginia, Western Kentucky, got West Virginia winning. Texas Tech, Sam Houston State, got Texas Tech winning. Kansas, St. Joseph's, I got Kansas winning. Boise State, Houston and Boise State got Houston winning. Florida State, Gardner-Webb, that game was canceled. UCLA, Pepperdine, got UCLA winning. Iowa, Southern University, I got Iowa winning. Rutgers, Fairleigh Dickinson, I got Rutgers winning. Wyoming, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, I got Wisconsin winning. And then there's a ton of college football games, I think, on tomorrow. Oh, no, there's not. There's only 2 college football games on tomorrow. Or college basketball. And then there's a lot of games on Sunday there. I give Kentucky the win against Richmond. I give them the win there. I think that's going to be a closer game, but I do give them the win. So I think Kentucky played very well. Like I said, I thought Kentucky played very well. I think they performed very well, and I'm going to give them another win. I think they played very well. They looked very good. A lot of these new recruits, a lot of these transfers, guys like that, out of the number one recruiting class, really lived up to expectations so far in the first game. So I'll give them another win. So with all that being said, enjoy your big sports weekend coming up. You got, obviously, college basketball and college football today. You've got all the other games on as well. You got college football and college basketball on today. You've got college football on tomorrow and a couple college basketball games, but mainly college football on tomorrow. NFL on Sunday. So enjoy your packed weekend of sports again. Go Jets, go Kentucky like always. And enjoy your weekend. Like you all know, I take breaks on the weekend, so I'll see you all back here on Monday. Enjoy your full weekend of sports again. Enjoy another big football weekend ahead of you. Enjoy all those NFL games. There's a lot of good ones on there. Enjoy it. I will see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.